welcome to Courses Learning in Research for Finding and Assessment. This video is going to take you through navigating your aXcelerate learner portal and explain the features of this learner portal for you and the things that you would typically use when you're doing the course. There are a lot of features that you won't need, but we'll go through the main features that are really important for you to know when you're doing your course and navigating through the portal. First up, you'll see at the top there, the Fortress Learning logo. That's always a home button. So if ever you need to get back to this actual front page of your course, you can always just click onto that and it'll bring you back home. And next, you'll also see a little circle here. That should have your initials there for you being logged on to your portal. This one's saying T2 because it's just a test site that's being used. What I'm seeing here, but you won't necessarily see on your learner portal, are a number of courses because this test site relates to a number of courses. Yours would be displaying the Cert Forward Training and Assessment. So it just would have that course for you then. Now also on your page when you load it, you'll see on the right hand side there are course announcements. So that's telling you relevant information that you need to know, any updates, latest bits of news that may be of interest or importance to you. And finally, just on this front page too, you'll see down the bottom there you have recent results. As you actually do assessments and the work is assessed, you'll see your recent results appear there. Of course, there's nothing there because nothing's been assessed yet, but that'll be different for you when you actually proceed through your course. Okie doke. So now let's look at some of the other features that we have with the aXcelerate Learner portal. And you will also see at the top there a number of icons. For instance, here you've got like a squiggly line kind of icon. So I might just click onto that one, and what we then see is your profile settings. So that's information about yourself, payments that you've made, the portfolio, and that includes things that you've probably sent to us, like your qualifications and transcripts and so forth, any agreements that you have them with Fortress. And this is probably the important one here, this academic transcript. Okay, so with this academic transcript, what you'll actually then see is your course, and it's a live running sheet that is continually updated as you progress through your course. Now, these units at the moment are all showing CA, which means continuing activity. So it's going across here, continuing activity. But as you actually complete units of your course, that will change to C for competent. So that's why I refer to it as like a living document, and you can always look at your course progress, see what you've done, what you still need to do, what's still outstanding with your course as well. Okay, so I will just go back. I'll actually use this home button just to go back to the course proper again. Now, what you'll also see with these icons, this is a pretty good one here, is this question mark here, and it also appears here. So now those are what we would call, let's say, help functions that you have. So if you click onto that, you can have you can submit feedback at any time, but probably the thing that's important for you is this help request. If I click onto the help request, you need to then choose a category, whether it be just a general inquiry, something in the learning materials. Probably the most common one might be some help with assessment. So I might just then use that one as an example as we navigate through. And so I'll click onto assessment. All right, so when you then make a help request here, we are looking then for something regarding the inquiry you're making. So you may be in the middle of an assessment, say some knowledge questions or an assignment, so you can actually drop down and select the actual area that you'll be, that where you're actually doing your assessment work and where you have a question with. So you actually select that. You'll provide information there about your query. You can then also drag and drop files into this section here, and then you press submit. And we will then get back to you within 2 hours on that inquiry. Now, just a note here too, we're not actually previewing assessed work here, but anything that you want to assess needs to go through the assessment channels in the portal. This is really just for any clarification that we might be able to help. So we don't review work before you actually submit it. It's really to deal with any inquiries that you may have. So now, what I would also want to take you through is with your Cert 4 training and assessment year, you have learning plan workshops, probably not really relevant for you. Same with resources and your course results, you can always check on. What I want to focus on here is this learning plan. And if I click onto that, what is going to now open is your actual learning plan. It defaults to this orientation basically here. So you've got this is another one. Now that's actually open at the moment. And what that actually does is it takes you through a number of resources, information about the course. There you can get things going. There's videos to support. And there's also some useful resources that you would like. So take your time to have a look through that. Now I'm just going to collapse that so I sort of get into the course proper. Supporting documents could be just that's not an assessment per se, but it is just some information about yourself, your things like perhaps your resume, if it's relevant, position descriptions, anything that's could be regarded as supporting documents. But then when we actually enter the course proper, we then have, for each section of the course, we have 3 things. We have, first up, there's a learning module. And then that's followed by assessments in the form of knowledge assessment. And then there's also assignment work, either in the form of a simulated pathway or a word-based pathway, depends on the course that you have. And also, if you were providing RPL evidence, that would also be showing up in this learning module. Now, your learning plan may not necessarily look like this because it will be tailored to the way your learning plan was set up when you first started your course. So you only see the relevant things as far as your course is concerned. Now, what I want to do is just take you through the learning module. So if we drop down on this particular box, you will now see there's a welcome to the cluster 1, and then there's a number of learning modules, and we've called them lessons, so that you just work your way through these lessons. Now, the lessons are not mandatory to go through from start to finish, but they are recommended because that really just helps you underpin all the required knowledge of the Cert 4 training and assessment. They'll also really help you when you're dealing with your knowledge questions as well, because when you do all of the questions in a moment, that there is actually specific links to these lessons when you go through those. Now, the lessons, when you go through those, you just click onto a lesson. See, at the moment it says not started. So if we go onto the lesson, okay, so you then have the options to begin the lesson. It's at the top and the bottom, so you can click either of those buttons. They both do the same thing. And let's get this lesson started by going begin lesson. And the lesson then has, it's called the menu if you like, on the left-hand side, which shows you all the contents of this lesson, the topics that are actually covered in the lesson for you. And what that means is you can go anywhere within the lesson and pick any of those suitable lessons. You can exit at any time as well, and it'll take you back to the actual start of that lesson. If you actually want to go back to your learning plan, you can click on go back home here as well, or you can go back to this Cert 4 training and assessment. Will take you also to your learning plan once again that orientation video is open. So now the other thing is knowledge questions that we have. So if you're ready to start your assessments, you can then drop down on the knowledge questions. There's an introductory video there regarding use of AI. And then you have a window here, which then says knowledge questions. That again, is saying not started at this stage. Now, this is an online quiz. It's not timed. So you can answer 3 or 4 questions if you like, park those, save them, and come back the next day and answer some more. So it's purely self-paced. So if I click onto the knowledge questions, again, you then have the options to start the attempt at the top and bottom. So you click either of those buttons and it should get you underway with starting your questions. You'll see on the left-hand side, it's saying that there are 20 questions that are involved. It's saying there that there's 12 attempts. Now, normally we have 3 attempts, so I'm not sure why it's actually defaulted to 12 there, but I usually find that students get the questions right in 1 or 2 attempts, so rarely do they need 3 attempts to get them right. So certainly 12 would not be required. And what I'll do is click on there to start the attempt, and similarly to the lessons, you'll also see your left-hand side there a menu with all the questions listed there, which means you can actually then navigate anywhere within the questions. So, for instance, you've got you want to go to question 9, you have the questionnaire, we can go to 13. So you can actually sort of go to any question. Logically, you probably start from one and work your way through, but it's really up to yourself how you approach these. And I mentioned earlier how we have references in our lessons when we actually ask questions. So you'll always see that there is a memory refresh, and it will then refer you to a specific lesson where that question was addressed. Now, one of the things that you could possibly consider when you're doing the knowledge questions is to duplicate tabs in your portal by clicking at the top, duplicating the tab, and then you've actually got them 2 learner tabs open. So the reason I'm saying that is because we could quite possibly have, if you wanted to work that way, have lessons open in one tab and assessments open in the other. At the moment, I've got assessments open in both of them, so I'll actually exit out of one of these and go back to one learning plan, drop that orientation, and here you can then click onto the lessons. So I've got then lessons open, and just go into that question that I had open there. It said, go have a look at lesson 15. So if we have a look at lesson 15, understanding the structure of units of competency. If I was to begin that lesson, there's all the contents from there. Here we've actually got an item 11 and 12 dimensions of competency. So that can then help us with information in addressing this particular question. So that's an example of how you could tackle those knowledge questions. I'm just going to exit out of the knowledge questions, and I will go back to my learning plan. Because the other thing you have then, of course, is the assignment work. So for each module, you have learning and assessment of all knowledge questions and assignment work. So I'm going to now click on this assignment work. There's information regarding the assignment that you'll be doing. You can also then download the assignment by clicking onto this section here. That is hyperlinked to the actual assignment folder that you'll need to do this particular assignment. So I will just be prompted that to download it. And the assignment is now opening, and there you have your assignment. So you see from that zipped folder, I have that here. So what I would logically do is take it from the zipped folder and drag it to my computer desktop somewhere, so that I actually have only a workable folder. Otherwise, I'll need to save those as new files. But if you just drag the folder across to your desktop, you can then just save the files the way they are in that folder and re-zip it when you've completed the work. Now, in each folder, you'll actually then see an assignment document, and you'll also find a resources folder. Now, the assignment documents are stepped out, and you will just follow the steps through to complete those. Sometimes the assignment requires you to complete fields in the actual assignment document itself. Other times it'll actually make reference to resources in the folder that's provided with it, and you'll find templates that you'll need to use and complete those as part of the assignment. So when all that assignment work is done, as I said, you can then re-zip that folder, and the submission then is done by going to this part in your learner portal where it says submit your assessment. And if I click onto that, you go start attempt, again it's at the top and bottom. You would then drag that zipped folder that you had. So for instance, you have your zip folder which is complete, and you just drag it across to this section here. And if it's a zipped folder, it's good because it sees it almost just like as a single file. You can send them separate files, but I recommend zipping folders and send them as a zipped folder for submission. Alright, so that's my introduction to your learner portal. Remember, this is always the home button here for you. Practice, I guess, is the best way to get used to it. And I think once you've done the things once or twice, you'll get better at it all the time. All the best with your Cert Forward training and assessment.